on the Republican ballot for 2nd Congressional District. Her name is Susan Buxer Lohage. Susan, if you'll stand, we'll introduce you to the crowd. This is Susan. One other piece of business before we get into our questions tonight. I'm giving Kyle an opportunity to get ready to go live, so just give me the, okay. We do have several members of our committee, our executive committee for the Republican Party that will be on the ballot for re-election or election to the ballot, the committee. If you are a current member or seeking to be a member of the Monongalia County Republican Executive Committee, please stand so the audience can see you and recognize you. I'll introduce those faces so that you'll have names to just remain standing for a minute. Kyle McAvoy, who's currently serving as our vice chair, is running for re-election to the committee in the 2nd Executive District. John Sadowski, one of our newest members of the committee, is running in the 10th as the male representative for the 10th Executive District. Drew Talbot, who is also a House candidate, is in the back of the room. He's running to be re-elected as a male representative for the 9th Executive District. Barton Lohr is a current member of the committee and serves as our treasurer. And unfortunately, we could not talk him into running for re-election, so this will be his retirement opportunity. We'll be glad to see him enjoy the rest of his life, but sorry to see him leave our company. So Cindy Chambers is running as the female representative from Executive District 4, and Paula Martinelli, who now serves as our female representative and our secretary, is running for re-election in the 8th Executive District. And Christy Moats is also the female representative on our in the 12th Executive District. So those of you who may not be familiar with the structure of our committee, you folks can go ahead and be seated. For those of you who may not be familiar with the structure of your Republican Executive Committee, there are 12 executive districts divided among the 3 magisterial districts, and each one elects or has appointed a male and a female representative from each. So there is the possibility of 24 Republicans serving on that executive committee, and I think we have 13, which is our high water mark. Typically, most counties have less than half of their seats filled, and we're very proud to say that we're one of the few counties that has 13 filled. We're always looking for new voices on the committee, so if you're in the room and you're a registered Republican and you'd like to serve on the executive committee, we welcome that. We can appoint members to that committee. So the new committee will be elected and will be seated on July 1st. And immediately following July 1st, we'll take applications for people who would like to serve as a male or a female representative on the committee if they fit in a geographic district. So I think that's all of our household business. Kyle, if you'll go ahead and start the live feed, we'll welcome. So to our viewers who are watching via Facebook Live, welcome to our candidate forum. My name is Ethan Moore. I'm the chairman of the Monongalia County Republican Executive Committee, and we will have a moderated candidates forum tonight for contested races in Senate District 13, House District 78, House District 82, Monongalia County Commission, Monongalia County Board of Education, and the Conservation District Supervisor. We welcome you. We thank you for joining us via Facebook Live. We welcome your comments and your cross shares and your posts. We may not be able to answer comments and questions that come in via that stream, but they'll be there for perpetuity. Our candidates that are with us tonight, we're going to cycle through. So like I said, we're going to start with Senate 13 candidates, Carly Braun and Mike Oliverio. And then next up will be candidates in House District 78, Gino Chiarelli, Tony Dicchiaccio, and Scott Nail. And then we'll go to House District 82, Cindy Fritsch, Debbie Warner, and Drew Talbot. So we're going to pass the mic, if you don't mind, guys. You'll be asked to introduce yourself and have 3 minutes to do so. And then we have a battery of 3 questions that have been prepared by members of our committee, and you'll have 3 minutes each to answer those. Does that sound good? We'll start with Carly, who's first here to my left. Carly, if you'd like to introduce yourself and tell the audience about your campaign.
Thank you, Ethan, and thank you to the Executive Committee and the Wright Morgantown for throwing this event for everyone. on this very hot afternoon. My name's Carly Braun. I am running for State Senate District 13. I'm a lifelong conservative, and my husband and I live in Westover with our almost 18-month-old. And I want to run for office, one, because I want a better future for our daughter and hopefully more children to come, and hopefully that they can stay in this state and give her more opportunities and everybody else's opportunities as well, because we see too much that people leave the state in a very large number. I served at the FBI from 2015 until the end of 2019. I was FBI police officer there, and then I was trained in biometrics and facial recognition, and I left as an analyst because of the vaccine mandates. And that's why I decided to run for office, and I want to help steer our state and our country in the right direction, and fighting at the local level is a good way to start.
Thank you, Carly. Mike, your introduction.
Thank you, Carly. I'm Mike Oliverio. Over the last several years, I've kind of weaved together 3 careers. I've been a lieutenant and a captain in the United States Army Reserves. I've been a member of the House of Delegates and the State Senate. And then I've had my business career where for 34 years I've been a financial advisor. And those 3 careers kind of weaved together have helped shape me into the person that I am, in addition to being a husband and parent along the way. I also want to thank Wright Morgantown and the Republican Executive Committee for putting on our event tonight, giving us a chance to address you. I've come to the Mason Jar before, and it's a little bit of a difficult environment to talk with everything going on in the place, so this was nice to have this setting. The way I see this race in the coming months, I see myself as kind of a player coach. In the old days of minor league baseball, you had a player coach, somebody who played on the team but also coached the team. And that's the role that I've tried to take in the process of this election cycle. I've tried to make myself available to help every one of these House of Delegate candidates, many of them running for the first time, some of them running just a second time. So when you see the candidates come up in the 78th, you need to understand that I'm for Gino, and I'm for Tony, and I'm for Scott. I'm for all 3 of them to be the very best candidate that they can be. Because come May 11th, when the primary election's over, we are a team. And I see my role as the coach of this team to put the very best team on the field starting May 11th. And we do that by improving every one of our candidates. And I've made every one of them aware I'm able to help them any way that they need help. We have a 9-member team that we have to put together that has to win in November. And that 9-member team consists of 6 House of Delegate candidates, 2 State Senate candidates, the 2nd District and the 13th, and a very important race for County Commission with Sean Sikora. So I want to provide the leadership that I can provide after 30 years of being in and around politics, help all of these candidates, and then encourage all of them that maybe aren't successful on May 10th to continue to be a part of this team starting May 11th, so that we can change the culture in this community and have the kind of representation that each and every one of you deserve.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Carly. We'll start now with our 3 questions, and we'll just go by the order of the table, if you don't mind, for the first question. Our first question will be for you, Carly. We do have a timekeeper. Kyle, in addition to keeping our tech running, is keeping time. So when you have about 30 seconds left, he'll raise his open hand, and when your time is up, it will be a closed hand. Okay? First question, Carly. What can you do, if elected, to improve the condition of our roads and transportation infrastructure for our county?
Thank you, Ethan. I think that is the question of the century, because for a long time our roads have been a problem, and it's not just one person that can fix the roads. We all do have to work as a team in order to get that done. However, I know a lot of the first reaction is money, but that's not the problem. After speaking with current sitting delegates, speaking with them from this last session, it's workers. We don't have enough workers who know how to run the equipment, so the amount of miles of roads that get done, patched, paved, are subpar compared to what was funded for. So I would like to see the state possibly encouraging maybe students that are right out of high school, supporting internships with companies that may contract with the roads, or maybe even getting internships with the state, so that we can have more workers who are learning right out of high school instead of going straight to college and maybe not knowing what they want to do. It could be a good paying job for our young people, and then they can learn engineering. There could be incentives for people out of high school to learn by doing, because that's a big problem that we have as well, is that a lot of people go to school and they don't learn by doing. So I think that's a good place to start, is to incentivize our younger generation with better jobs outside of high school, because that's a big problem right now, is that they want to spend 4 years in a university and then the opportunities are not there, or the pay is too low because they have a 4-year degree and they want to be paid more. And also the pay can be something that can visit it as well, maybe with the budget of the state, and increase the pay and maybe increase the benefits. But I think that maybe a program right out of high school will be a good way to start, to get the workers to do the roads, and then maybe we can start to see some improvement in the worst areas of the state, and then expand out and keep them, keep improving on the roads. I know they just paved going from South Park to Saberton, that area there, they just paved that finally, if anyone knows that area that I'm speaking of. So I think that's a good place to start, is to encourage young people out of high school, and then we can get a better workforce from there. I'll give it over to Mike.
Mike, obviously it's the same question for you. What can you do, if elected, to improve the condition of our roads and transportation infrastructure in our county?
3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
Well, I agree with Carly. I think we've talked before about these internship concepts, and one of the ways to do those is for existing college students as well that are studying engineering, to have them have internship opportunities with the Division of Highways. So I think that's a really good idea. Our challenge has been in Monongalia County, when we've attempted to do a significant road project, we have a group of people in this county that, when the Division of Highway engineers and others come to town, make them very unwelcome and fight everything they're trying to do. And those Division of Highway engineers and folks like that go to other communities, I often joke, they're welcomed with a marching band and a town greeting. They're a city to town hall, and we have people up here that when they come, it's like they're coming in almost to a guillotine. And that has caused the Division of Highways to shy away from our community. And I'm referring to years ago. I'm not being critical of last year or the year before, but I'm talking years ago. I'll give you an example. The West Run Expressway. Anybody travel on West Run? Barely wide enough for one car, maybe 1.5, okay? Years ago, we tried to get a West Run Expressway built. And Barbara Fleschauer and others in the community opposed that project and fought, and every time the Division of Highways came up here, they were met with opposition. We had a user fee program that was going to do hundreds of millions of dollars in road construction. Barbara Fleschauer and others interfered with that project and ended up stopping that from occurring. So we need to send people to Charleston who will be pro-growth, support the kinds of changes and infrastructure that we need to enable our community to provide you the kind of service that you should have. And if we continue to send people who fight with our Division of Highways instead of build relationships with them, we'll continue to have the poor results that we've had during the past several years. I went when the Division of Highways came to town with the governor earlier this month and spent some time with them. I spent some time with the county highway supervisor, the state secretary of the Department of Transportation. I had a small request. I said, I see people almost wrecking every day on boroughs. Can you please get out there and fix boroughs? On Thursday, they did that. My mother taught me you can get a lot more with honey than vinegar.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Carly. Our second question, we'll start with Mike this time and then lead to Carly. For our second question, what can be done to attract new, high-paying jobs to West Virginia and Monongalia County?
You know, I've been around this issue for a long time. I served on the State and Senate Economic Development Committee, and I actually chaired the Senate Small Business Committee, and we tried to address the major issues that impact businesses when they make decisions. And I get a little bit tired sometimes when people talk so much about what can we do to attract other people to bring businesses here. Our initial responsibility is to help our existing businesses grow. And where we fail sometimes in that area is we don't provide them the basic public service that they need. We don't provide them safe roads and bridges. We don't provide them an education system that produces people who can work in their businesses. We don't provide them the quality of public safety that they need to be able to do business. Talked to a business person downtown, said, hey, we just can't continue to do business here. It's just too dangerous for our employees when they leave. So basic government services are a must, and we're not hitting the mark in that area, and that's something we have to do. I'm not a big fan of all the tax credits and all the gimmicks. I don't believe it's the role of government to pick the winners and losers in business. I think we should create a level playing field where entrepreneurs can excel and succeed based on their own merits and not necessarily having government pick who gets an advantage and who doesn't. So those are some of the things that I'll focus on: basic state government services, creating a fair and level playing field. I, as a state senator, voted to remove the corporate net income tax from 9% down to 6.5%. I voted to remove the business franchise tax, which was a huge impediment in businesses in West Virginia being able to grow. I often think of our northern panhandle as like a buffet line. You know, the northern panhandle in some places is only 3 or 4 miles wide. So if you're a business person and you're looking at Ohio, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania, it's kind of like you're going through a buffet line and you're going to pick one of those 3. And we better have our incentives in a proper manner so that they'll pick us, because over 60% of our population is in a border county in West Virginia. And so we can't be naive to what's going on around us in those 5 other states. So I look for basic services, level playing field, not a bunch of tax credits and gimmicks where government picks winners and losers, but we allow entrepreneurs to flourish and succeed.
Carly, same question for you.
For high-paying jobs to attract business growth, I think a problem is that we may be looking at it. I like to look at it in a different way, because we have lost population. So it's difficult for businesses to grow when you don't have enough workers. And I like to really discuss the fact that people aren't having children in our state, not only in our state, but across the country. And I've seen studies where people who are in my generation, millennials and below, would rather have a dog than have children. And that's a serious problem, because even if our local businesses can grow, there's no people to fill the spots to increase their employee base and to grow their business. So that's a serious problem. And the family is the basis of everything. So if people aren't settling down, people aren't having children, then our state is going to slowly decline, which is what we have seen, because we lost a congressional seat from our last census. So I would want to promote young men and women starting their families, getting married, starting families in our state, and then encourage, like you said, Mike, local businesses to grow, and also invite other great entrepreneurs who have good ideas. They'll improve our state. But people aren't going to be able to grow their businesses if they don't have the workers, and we've seen that in several areas. And that's where I would want to begin, is to encourage people staying here, having their families, like my husband and I intend to do, and we pray that our children can stay here and have good, high-paying jobs. And another thing as well is I think that tax credits can be a good thing for businesses, not picking and choosing just across the board, like Mike said. And we need to make it easier for businesses to open, and so they can flourish. And I've talked to business owners where getting started is very difficult in our state. So I think maybe reviewing regulations, reviewing taxes, and decreasing those as well, to encourage people to take that risk, because opening a business is a risk, and they also need to know that they will have the workers to handle their clientele and to potentially grow.
Thank you, Carly. Before we go to our third question, I'd like for our candidates that will be in House 78, Gino and Tony, please come up, have a seat here to my right. We're going to try to save time, and when our Senate candidates are done, our House candidates will be able to move in a little more easily. Our third question, we'll start with Carly and then go to Mike. Now that you are able, if elected, to represent a single district in Monongalia County, what do you see as the priorities of that district? Sorry, obviously for you all, it's trans-county. Mm-hmm. You know, you'll represent a different looking 13 senatorial district than you had previously.
In my opinion, the top priority for this district and for Mon County and Marion County as well is the opioid and drug issue that we have just right in our backyards. And I think that that has been a serious problem, especially on High Street. And I've talked to people where homeless people will be walking in their backyards, or they'll find people sleeping in very odd places, or even in their yards, on their porch. And that leads to higher crime, which can lead to people leaving our state as well. And the drug epidemic has been just completely ravaging our entire state and our entire area. I'm from Brooke County, and it's even worse up there, but it's also hitting right here in Mon County and Marion County. Just an anecdotal story. 2 summers ago, my neighbor was cutting their grass, and someone walked right into their house and stole a handful of things, whatever they can get their hands on, and left before they even knew. And that was just right across from our street, right across from our house in Westover. So that is a serious problem. And if I'm honored enough to be elected, then that will be an issue that I would want to look at and see what is driving people, and to not only to address the drug problem, but also the homeless issue. And if people are unable to take care of themselves, and if they are addicted to drugs, then maybe there's some intervention that the state could have. And I think that's where we should put some attention as well.
The 13th Senate District has changed a little bit with redistricting, and while I've represented a big portion of this new district, there are some areas of the district that I haven't represented when I served previously. So I look at the campaign as an opportunity to, of course, get out and ask people for their vote. We do that. But it's also a listening campaign. You're out in these communities and you're listening and you're picking up things that are important. So, for example, Brookhaven has been added to this district. So today I went to the Brookhaven Community Center for their spaghetti dinner so that I could talk with people and understand what's important in that area of the county that I haven't represented. So the way I'll approach this job is trying to get out in the community as much as I can, understanding what's important to people, helping with basic services, and really trying to help move our county forward. We have the potential to have a great legislative team in Charleston, and I want to be a part of that team and work with many of the quality people that you're going to hear from today. Our format today is not going to allow you to hear from Justin or Stephen or Zach based on them not being in contested races, but I can assure you I'm working with those folks and trying to teach them what I know so that they could be a successful contributing member of this team as possible. But I want to thank everybody that's come out today. I think this is a great opportunity to hear from all the candidates, and look forward to chatting with you after if we get that opportunity. I brought a few campaign posters. If you want to take one of those home with you for your yard, we'd be honored to have you do that. And I've got a few magnets for your refrigerator as well.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Carly. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike and Carly again are running for Senate District 13. They'll be both on the Republican ballot in the primary. We do have it's not a contested primary for the incumbent Senator Charles Clements in the 2nd Senatorial District. He has no Republican challenger on the ballot. And also, unfortunately, he had to travel to Charleston for interim meetings. He has a meeting this afternoon. And then they'll do interims tomorrow and possibly Tuesday, with the idea of a special session on the horizon. So Senator Clements wasn't able to join us, but we're thankful to have Mike and Carly join us and answer our questions. Feel free to stick around. I'm sure the audience will engage you here at the end of our program. But thank you for your time. If everyone will give them a warm round of applause. We'll welcome on our next group of House candidates. Next will be candidates for House District 78, Gino Chiarelli and Tony Dichiaccio. Fortunately, Scott Nail was obviously unable to attend. We regret that, but we'll move along. Before I go into the House, I'd like to say, as Mike kind of segued for me, there are 4 uncontested primaries for House districts in Monongalia County. That is District 77, in which the incumbent Joe Statler has no Republican primary challenger, and he will face the Democrat Benji Swanson in the fall. District 77 obviously is the far west and the far south, with a couple precincts coming out of Wetzel County. House District 79, there is no Republican challenger there, only Zach Lemaire. Zach, if you'll stand, we'll introduce you. Zach Lemaire is the Republican candidate in House District 79, and he will face the incumbent Democrat candidate, Evan Hansen. House District 80 is Justin White. There's no other Republican running in that race. Justin will face the incumbent Democrat delegate John Williams in the newly formed District 80. We wish him the best of luck. And in House District 81, Stephen Harris is the Republican on the ballot. And he will face the incumbent delegate Democrat Danielle Walker. Yeah, normally that's a chorus of boos. So those are your 4 uncontested House races. We have 2 contested House races for the May primary, District 78, District 82. And in District 78, we have Gino and Tony. We'll start just as you sat down at the table. Gino and then Tony, you'll introduce yourself. We're learning as we go, so bear with me as we evolve. I don't see the need to pass the microphone back and forth. I'll just pass it, and then we'll kind of round robin back, because we don't need to keep swapping the microphone like it's a pen in a Staples commercial, okay? So we'll start with Gino, then we'll go to Tony. You have 3 minutes to introduce yourself, and then pass to Tony for her introduction, and then Tony will just stay with you for first question, okay?
Got it.
So Gino, here you go.
Howdy, everybody. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate you showing some bravery and, heading out into the sweltering heat that we are faced with today, but I'm glad to be inside in a semi-air conditioned building. But my name is Gino Chiarelli, and I'm running for House of Delegates in District 78. The reason why I decided to run is because in my line of work as a substance abuse counselor, I saw a lot of people that have been affected by the opioid crisis. At this point, it's hard to find someone that has not been directly, or at the very least indirectly, affected by someone that suffers from addiction. And I feel like I've seen a lot of ways that the state could facilitate their recovery. I think it's the state's responsibility to help facilitate and help get our population back to where it needs to be. I think there's a lot of unending benefits that come along with that. I also saw the effects of drug addiction when I worked as a child protective services worker. I've seen that not only what unchecked addiction can do to people and families, I've seen what government incompetence can do as well. So those 2 things are really what motivated me to run in the first place. But on top of those 2 things being my primary focus, I would love to be a firm, unyielding voice in terms of the conservative argument. I'm fiercely pro-life. I've been endorsed by West Virginians for Life. I'm very much pro-medical freedom. I've been endorsed by West Virginians for Medical Freedom. And then I think that my efforts and the reasons why I am running and my effort, basically everything that I am about this campaign, everything that I've been doing, my efforts have been recognized, and I've been endorsed by Governor Jim Justice. So I look forward to seeing what the future has, because there's a lot that we need to get done, and I look forward to being the person that helps some of the great delegates we already have down there get it done.
Tony?
Hi, everybody. I, too, want to thank the sponsors of the event. It's wonderful to be able to engage directly with potential constituents and Mon County residents. I am a nurse practitioner, and I have been in healthcare for about 15 years. I had a previous career as an economist and CPA, and became a nurse after 9/11, and wanting to really do something for my community and people in need. And I've lived my life since then being responsive and attentive to what's going on around me and in my community. I've been very engaged in policy for years, not in politics, but I have been a Republican since I was 18 in West Virginia. I was the Eastern Panhandle rep for the Young Republicans when I was in college. And then when I left the state, I never thought I would see the day that the Republicans would be the majority party, and was so happy when it happened and was blessed to be sitting on the floor of the House of Delegates when Roger Hanshaw was elected Speaker of the House. So I am very, again, engaged in policy. I've taught it at the university. I have worked with the West Virginia Nurses Association and other state leadership roles, developing, writing, testifying for policy. But Mon County needs a voice from the Republicans in Charleston. And the state is not going to, there's not going to be a blue wave. The Republicans will be staying in power. And Mon County needs a good representative voice of the needs of our community. The business community does not feel like they have a voice. The university, they get their due attention appropriately, but the business community does not feel like there's a concerted voice in Charleston. So I want to be part of that voice. I want to play on a team. I look forward to Sean Sikora being elected on the county commission because he's a great commissioner. He's a great member of the team. And up and down the line, I just want to be part of that team to make sure that Mon County gets our due attention and our community can grow in a very planned and proper way.
Thank you, Tony. We'll stay with you to start our battery of questions. First question for you is the same as it was for our Senate candidates. What can you do, if elected, to improve the condition of our roads and transportation infrastructure in our county?
Yeah, this is a prime example of where I think Mon County doesn't get our due. One thing I'm big on government transparency, and J.B. McCuskey, our state auditor, has really done a fantastic job. And the county commission. We were the first county, I believe, to use checkbook.gov for our government expenditures. But for our roads, I would really love to see the excise taxes that we send, plus the vehicles sold, plus the other earmarked taxes for roads, the total amount from Mon County, and then the amount spent on our roads. I know that's not going to be one for one, and that's all right. I believe we are a great county, and we can help subsidize other counties. But I really would love to see that percentage devoted. The other thing that I think is important is, again, playing as a team. If I am selected as a delegate, I want to make sure that I have a good relationship with the Region 4 Department of Highways leader and be a conduit for constituents and other people concerned. Like Mike Oliveria said, I do believe you win more friends with honey than with vinegar. So I want to have good relationships, and I do want to, I don't know if everybody knows this, I do want to educate, because Mike talked about asking directly the Department of Highways about a road. There is an online forum at the West Virginia Department of Transportation where you can identify a pothole or maintenance needs, and there's a pin that you can drop, and within 7 days, the legislature passed a bill. Within 7 days, they're supposed to respond back to you with the plan for when that is going to be fixed and how that's going to be fixed. And I did that last Saturday with a pothole getting onto I-68 from Brookhaven, and Monday morning I did have a response back, and it's been fixed. So they do track that, and the reason the legislature passed that is to pay attention to how much those are reported and if they're being responsive. So I do encourage you to look that up and absolutely report, and if I'm elected, I will send that on your benefit, and so I can track it too.
Thank you, Tony. Gina?
So the roads are definitely a big one. Anytime that I talk to anybody that is living in my district, the roads are usually one of the first two topics that they bring up, and it's something that's on everybody's mind constantly. It's hard not to have it on your mind when it feels like you're driving on the surface of the moon in certain places. So I would say some of the biggest issues when it comes to the roads is definitely need to make sure that the money is there, and it seems like the legislature has done a really good job at that. I also think that the accountability aspect of it is important. We want to know where our dollars are going, and we want to know what they're doing. Sometimes I feel like if people only pay attention to the things that they can actually see because it's slowing them down on 79 or 68 or wherever, but people need to be able to know where their money is going. And I think that Carly touched on something really big earlier. It's the workers. We need more workers. We need better worker retention rates, and we need to see that our people that are working for the department are treated fairly. Because I've seen the way that a lot of them get treated online, and I know for a fact that a lot of them are trying their absolute best in an employment situation that might not necessarily be the greatest for them, but they have that job regardless of doing what they can, and they're being just absolutely lambasted on the internet because everybody's immediate potholes right outside their driveways are not being fixed the first day that they're noticed. So worker retention is something that the Department of Highways and the legislature can work on. We need to make a Department of Highways that is more inclusive and friendly to workers. We want to be able to see them keep onto their jobs because they are high-paying jobs, and I think that we can offer incentives. Carly mentioned something about offering incentives to students that come out of high school, offer some sort of programs to people from even out of state. Say, hey, if you come here and you work for our Department of Highways for X amount of years, we can give you X amount of money towards student loans, something like that. So anything that's going to encourage people to come here, because that has the twofold benefit of not only giving us better roads, it helps us with the population decrease that we've seen for the most part over the last 10 years.
Thank you, Gino. Gino, we'll stay with you for our second question for our House candidates, same as it was for our Senate. What can be done to attract new high-paying jobs to West Virginia and Monongalia County?
So bringing in industry is definitely something that our state needs. West Virginia used to be a very big production state in our industry. Coal was very big here, and it seems like we've kind of been left behind in a lot of ways. So I would say one of the biggest things that ties into one of my goals overall as a legislature in bringing attention to the drug epidemic is I would like to see our state workforce revitalized. I want employers or industry or any sort of manufacturer, whoever's looking at this state, I want them to see a population that is healthy and ready to work no matter what. I think another big thing that I would like to see as far as sort of taking West Virginia out of last place into the top 10, possibly, the top 5, is we need to look at the industry of the future. There are companies now that I have spoken with, people from these very, very advanced places that want to utilize something that we have a lot of, which is coal waste. There are companies that want to come here, use our coal waste, they want to reclaim the land, be able to take materials out of the coal waste, and then sort of turn it into something that's actually usable again. There's a lot of opportunity in that because when they come here, that's going to create all sorts of jobs. It's not going to have as much of a huge environmental impact the way that many people that argue against coal would have. So it's an environmental effort, but at the same time, it puts our coal industry people back to work. So it gives us something that we're familiar with, but at the same time, it gives us a unique opportunity to sort of lead into the future because the ways that they can reclaim this stuff is unbelievably advanced. And I think for West Virginia to be on the forefront of a huge technological industrial breakthrough would be amazing, and to the shock of many people across the country. So I look forward to, as a legislator, being very friendly to those efforts.
Tony, same question.
So, and if we're talking about bringing businesses into our county or our state, they all look at exactly the same factors. They look at the infrastructure in your community, the educational outcomes, because these people have children and they want K through 12 good education and access to education. They look at the regulatory environment, how competitive you are. When you live in a democratic republic like we do, there are 50 states plus the district to choose from when you want to locate somewhere. So we have to have a competitive regulatory environment. That includes things like Arizona and Utah are doing with regulatory sandboxes. That includes minimal government, there has to be a minimal amount of government services, including infrastructure. And one of the things that Gino touched on about workforce in the government is we really need to look at our civil service code section, dive into that. Georgia reformed that in their state in 1996. They have over 20 years of experience applying a decentralized, merit-based system for government employees where the good workers can be rewarded for their good work. And our system is antiquated and it's based on seniority. And there are great government workers, but and that's a hard job, but it could help the Department of Highways with workers. It could help CPS with social workers. It could help a lot of our agencies retain good workers. So that is definitely something we need to look into. And I couldn't agree more with the workforce. I happen to work I thought that was very interesting that both Gino and I work in the substance use arena. I'm a nurse practitioner at the Comprehensive Opioid Addiction Treatment Program at WVU. And obviously we're both very concerned about our workforce, our people, their health, their well-being, the impacts that has on the court system, criminal justice system, our workforce. So we need at a minimum to go from number 1 on the overdose lists as a state down somewhere. We need to show a positive trajectory on that. And so that is a really important part of, and we're getting, we do have a lot of money. I think Morrissey just was settled for like 99 million with Janssen, and they're working out the details of that. We need to make sure that that money is going to the appropriate places for frontline treatment and access, workforce training. Jobs and Hope is a great program, and it provides a way for people in recovery to get work.
Thank you, Tony. We're going to go right to you for the third question. I would like to ask Drew and Debbie, come on up and be in the wings. You'll be the next group up. Tony, the third question is, what are the priorities in your district?
Similar to what Mike was saying, talking to door knocking, the things that I hear most are roads, which we've kind of already touched on. One thing I didn't say about the roads, there's been a bill introduced the past 2 years that I would, on the Senate side, I would like to see the House pick it up, in which when the Department of Highways is notified of a road repair, at a date certain time, if that has not been done, then that can be contracted out. And in the current derivation of the bill, it says the Department of Highways contracts it out to a private entity. I think it should go further than that. It could also allow the local government or even association of citizens to contract out, and that has been done in this county. I don't know, like Brandywine Estates have paid for their own roads to be repaved as an association. So infrastructure, we got to be on that for sure. I think that the thing that I started out with is having a voice in Charleston that is part of the majority party. And I don't care, I want it to be me, obviously, but if it's not me, I want it to be a Republican. I want it to be Gino or Scott. I want us to have a voice. And same thing across all the races. And then finally, as I mentioned earlier, teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work, and it can be done in Mon County. A voice for constituents, for businesses, with the county commission, and with the legislature. And I do hope that the B&O tax is repealed, but I know that's a concern for county commissions, and we would need to make sure that they're made whole, and I would make sure that they would be if I was sent.
So as far as the concerns of our district and District 78, roads we touched on, that's pretty much everybody's concern no matter where you go in West Virginia. Another one of the big ones is drug epidemic, because when I tell people that I'm a substance abuse counselor, they often share stories that they have experienced with neighbors, friends, family members, kids finding needles out in the parking lot. So I think the drug use is one of the big concerns. The homeless population as well is another big one, especially with the Bartlett House being located at the end of my street. I know that these people need a lot of help and they need a lot of services, and it's something that we need to do as a county together in conjunction with the city commissions to figure something out, because a lot of them are there because they have nowhere else to go. A lot of them are there because they're not interested in going anywhere else. So I think that is one of the biggest challenges. But as far as the priorities of my district, when I go and I talk to people and I knock on their doors and I ask them about where their heads are at as far as the conservative view, what principles do they believe in, what issues do they want focused on, a lot of them are saying the same thing, and a lot of them are tired of feeling like the leftist narrative still exists, even though we have a majority in the legislature. We have a Republican state, and yet it seems like there's nobody speaking up against some of the insanity that continues on nationally. People are worried about their kids being bombarded with leftist propaganda in schools. People are concerned with the fact that when their kids go to school, they're told to hate themselves, hate their families, hate their culture, hate their people, hate their faith. I think people really respect the fact that I'm not afraid to say that I believe in God wholeheartedly, and I think that stokes a lot of anger. I've had a lot of angry people already coming after me because I don't think that men should be able to use the same bathroom as women. And it seems like that now I have to play the role as a villain with this completely normal opinion, because the window has shifted so far left that now Republicans are playing just to not lose. I think that we need to turn the tide a little bit, and I look forward to being a very strong conservative voice in the legislature. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Tony. We appreciate your time and answering our questions. Feel free to stick around. The audience will have questions later.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Giving a round of applause. To our viewers that are on Facebook Live, again, you're watching a moderated town hall forum for candidates in Monongalia County. We have went through candidates in Senate District 13 and candidates in House District 78. Up next, we will hear from candidates in House District 82, Drew Talbot and Debbie Warner. If you're watching us on Facebook, please give us a like, please give us a share, let your friends know what's going on, help us spread the word. We will share this video later in an archive format so that you can watch it, share it with your friends that way. But if you're watching from wherever you're at, your phone, your tablet, your computer, your home, your office, your car, we appreciate you joining us. We're glad that you're here with us, and please help us spread the message. To our audience that's in the room, again, thank you for joining us. It's a warm day, a beautiful Sunday afternoon. I'm sure there are lots of other things any one of us would like to be doing, but you all have made the effort to come here and to hear your candidates speak and to be engaged in the political process. And on behalf of Alicia and her Facebook group of friends, the Right Morgantown, we thank you. The County Republican Executive Committee thanks you for coming. The Facebook group of people thanks you for coming. We appreciate you being engaged and hearing these candidates speak. And if you like what you hear, share it. If you don't like what you hear, share it. It's very easy in our system of sharing information to share good and bad, true and fake, real and unreal. And you've come today to hear the real. You've come today to hear straight from the horse's mouth what these candidates have to say. And so the next time you're at the grocery store and someone says, I think I might vote for that Gino, but I don't know where he stands on XYZ, well, you just heard. And you can be his ambassador. You can be Tony's ambassador. You can be an ambassador for all of these candidates to answer that fake narrative that will inevitably be spread. Before, you guys can come on up and have a seat. Before our forum here began, I gathered all of our candidates up, and I said, I want to give you a pep talk that sometimes the things that you want to say to an audience in April aren't the things that you want to say to an audience in October. But you all that are here and the candidates that are here speaking will know now and in June and July and August and what the truth is, what the true answer is that candidate has for an issue. So as we progress to the fall and we have our slate of candidates like Mike spoke about, we'll have 6 House of Delegates candidates, we'll have 2 Senate candidates, we'll have a county commissioner candidate. That slate of candidates has to be the strongest and the best possible. So we can all be ambassadors for our Republican slate of candidates combating what will be absolute insanity. It will be. You can write it down and mark it down. Monongalia County will be, it will be the AOK Corral in October. It's going to be Battleground Station. So we have Drew and we have Debbie Warner with us. In full disclosure, Drew serves on our committee. So he did not get the questions before anyone got the questions. I wanted to bring that up. These questions were drafted by a subcommittee of our executive committee, and approved by that subcommittee, of which Drew was not a part of. So I don't want anyone to feel that Drew had an unfair advantage, but he is a member of our executive committee, and Debbie's a good friend of the committee, and so they've been given fair opportunity and equal opportunity to receive the questions and prepare. So we'll start. We've evolved here past passing the mic, so we'll just start as you sit down. Drew will go first with an introduction, and then Debbie, and then we'll stay with Debbie for answer to question 1, and we'll just pass it back and forth among you all. Perfect. Drew Talbot.
Hello everyone, my name is Drew Talbot, of course running for the 82nd District. Some of my background is I've worked in realty, I've worked in the oil and gas industry, the sales industry, I've worked in politics as well. I worked on a congressional campaign in the 2020 election in Maryland's 6th Congressional District. I worked for Neil Parrott. Unfortunately, we don't win, but it was a great experience. It kind of probably what propelled me to be where I'm at right now. I've been in politics since I was 16 years old before I could even vote. I went to President Trump's rally in Charleston in 2016, and I fell in love with that side of politics ever since then. I'm running because I am younger. I want a younger voice in Charleston. The laws and bills passed now is going to affect me and my future and my children. And I want them to be set up for the best way possible. I want people to stay in West Virginia. I love this state. I mean, yesterday I went to the Blue and Gold game. I'm sure some of you can see my severe redness. That was from sitting out in the sun all day. But, singing Country Roads at the end of a West Virginia win it's amazing, and I think everybody should experience it. And it's one of the reasons I want people to stay in this state, including my children, my children's children, everybody beyond. I can't fathom, I can't put in words how much I love this state. But, I lifelong West Virginian. I did not go to high school in West Virginia. My parents moved away to Garrett County, Maryland for a few, but that's where I got a lot of my experience. I got into the Young Republicans there, and I'm trying to start Young Republicans here in this state as well. Like I said before, we need a younger voice in Charleston.
Can you hear me? Hello?
I think is everyone here, Debbie, fine? She's a little soft-spoken.
Hi, I'm Debbie Warner. First of all, I want to thank everyone for putting this forum on, and thank all the candidates for coming and participating today. I'm a native West Virginia. My husband and I we'll celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary this year. I have 4 adult children and some grandchildren. After my husband finished his career in the military, we moved around, obviously with the military, all over the United States and overseas. And 22 years ago, we came back to West Virginia to give our children a hometown and to know their family and their roots. For the past 15 years, I've been privileged to have been a real estate agent. And I am running because I believe that West Virginia is just a fantastic place to live, work, and raise a family, and I think we can continue to improve upon that.
Just a little closer
getting
with
this done in the
a
background.
little
I'm
closer
getting-
with the mic, I think. I
Okay.
think the speakers are loud enough. We're just a little bit.
I'm too soft-spoken. I'm
Yeah.
a better listener than I am talker, I think. So anyway, I'm running to make West Virginia the best place to work, live, and raise a family. And also to have opportunities for my children and my grandchildren to come back to the state to raise their families and to know home. Okay.
Thank you. So we have the same battery of questions for these House candidates that we've had for Senate 13 and 78. And we'll start with Debbie for the first question. What can you do if elected to improve the condition of our roads and transportation infrastructure?
I think we've heard a lot of really good ideas on this, and as you know, the legislature is the one that budgets the money for this. We've got a lot of roads to pave, and maybe more roads than we have money to maintain. And I am anticipating a lot of national infrastructure money to coming in to the state, and I'd like to see a lot of that earmarked for roads and bridges. I was with Mike, and we met up at the governor's announcement for the paving schedule for 2022, and talking to those guys, they are so understaffed and they work so hard, and you hear the pay structure, what they're getting paid, and the other opportunities we have there. So I think it would be really good to address their pay issues so that we can recruit and maintain workers for the roads. And then we also had some neat ideas shared with us about taking tires and cutting the sidewalls off and filling them with gravel and using those. So I think there's some new innovative ideas out there that we could start looking into. I also think it's important that we have accountability with maintaining the roads, like we were talking about with you spot something, you take a picture of it and let them know that that there's accountability and more efficiency with how the roads are maintained.
Thank you, Debbie.
I think with this, number one, accountability. You need to know where the money's going. The money's obviously there. The state legislature's done their job with that. Obviously, we just need to make sure all the money's accounted for and we know where it's going. Debbie brought up the workers' pay. I was talking to someone about this a while ago. The state road CDL drivers, they're paid $14, $15, $16 an hour. Why would anybody want to work here when you can go 20 minutes up the road to Waynesburg or Carmichael's or Uniontown and start out at $21, $22? That's something that we got to address. If we can keep the workers here, then we're going to see great improvements to our roads.
Drew, we'll stay with you for our second question. What can be done to attract new high-paying jobs to West Virginia and Monongalia County?
I think with this, Monongalia County and Morgantown itself, we've got Bass Pro Shops, Menards. We're getting there. We need to keep attracting more. West Virginia needs more jobs, and I said in my opening statement, keeping people here. And I think that starts with education. If we have a better education, keeping people educated, incentive programs for big businesses, companies, anything that wants to come here, tax breaks, incentives to keep companies here and pay them a good wage. More business, the better here, of course. So.
It's a good question. As a realtor, I often am asked by different organizations to provide tours of the Morgantown area to people that are looking to relocate here. And some of the first questions I get, obviously, I'm driving on the roads, so people ask me about the roads. They ask me about the education system for their kids, and they ask me about broadband internet, particularly when we get out into some of the outlying areas of Morgantown and even some of the hilly areas and closer to Preston County in my district. You don't get cell service. And these are the same things that potential investors look at when they're looking to relocate their companies. We've got so much going on for us here. We have natural beauty like nobody's business. But a lot of those areas, you don't get broadband. So, that's got to be fixed. And the people are friendly. And we are within, a day's drive of, 60% of the United States population. We have rivers, we have rails, we have everything going, but we need to fix those three things: roads, education, and broadband.
Thank you. I just grabbed the mic there for a second. If Mr. Sikora and Mr. Herzog will come up and get ready to be on deck for the next battery of questions. Debbie, we're on the third question, and we'll start with you. If elected, you'll be able to represent a single district. What do you see as the priorities of that district?
Well, running for office, I've been out just talking to people and knocking on doors, visiting with my neighbors, and one of the questions I always ask are, what is important to you? And surprise, surprise, it's the same things I just mentioned. Roads are a big one, education and broadband. And I think of those three, probably in my particular district, education is the issue that is the most important.
I think with this, it's definitely the roads. And like I said before, holding accountability and everything like that. Another thing that I'd like to see is tourism with Cheat Lake. Since Governor Justice took office, he's been promoting tourism vastly. I think Cheat Lake, they need to have more lake-driven activities, lake-driven businesses. I would like to see a public beach there. If you go 45 minutes up the road to Deep Creek, you see the state park that they have there has a public beach there. I think that would be great for tourism, people wanting to see what West Virginia is about. The southern part of the state already has great tourism with the New River Gorge, Summersville Lake, Stonewall Jackson, and I think our district needs to come up with that, and I think it could be a great money investment.
Great. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Debbie. Ladies and gentlemen, Debbie Warner and Drew Talbot, those are your candidates in House District 82. There's also candidate Cindy Fritsch. She was unable to join us today, but we welcome and we thank Debbie and Drew for joining us and spending some time. You're welcome to stay. Speak with the audience at the conclusion of our moderated forum if you're available. I know Debbie has another commitment and has asked if she can go on to her next stop, but we'll forgive you, I think.
Thank you.
I try not to speak for everybody. On behalf of the committee, we'll forgive you. You guys, if you'd like to go ahead and step away. Again, if you're watching via Facebook Live, my name is Ethan Moore. I'm the chairman of the Monongalia County Republican Executive Committee, and we're moderating a forum for candidates that'll be on the ballot on the May 10th primary. We'd like for you to like and share what you're seeing on Facebook. We'd like to build that audience so as few see it, or as many see it as possible. And again, to our audience here in public, in person, we thank you for coming. Next, we're going to transition to our candidates in the contested primary race for County Commission. That's Sean Sikora, the incumbent, and Charles Herzog, the challenger. We have three separate questions for you all. You've received them in advance, had opportunity to prepare for them, but they will be different than the Senate and the House candidates. I think we've addressed those topics ad nauseum, so we're moving on to some different topics. We'll start with 3 minutes for each one of you to give us your introduction, and then we'll just start in the order that you've set at the table.
Is there a timer?
Yes, there's a 3-minute timer, same as it was for the House. And the Senate candidates, when he raises an open hand, you have 30 seconds. When he raises a closed hand, your time is expired.
All right.
Okay, Charles Hartzog will be first.
Now, I assume this is the first question is about broadband. Yes.
This is your introduction, sir.
Can't hear. Oh, I can hear now. I can hear myself. So, well, initially I was from Eufaula, Alabama. Lived there till I was 6.5 years old. My background actually goes as far as family history goes back to 1752, when my ancestors first arrived in America from Sandhausen, Germany, back then known as Prussia. And overall, well, first it was Eufaula, Alabama, where I would live, near the majority of my father's side of the family. And then when I was about 7, we moved to Ohio, near my mom's side of the family. And then a few years ago to West Virginia. And I know I'm probably not the most experienced person here, but who can blame me? I'm young. Though I do see that as an advantage in many ways, actually. Because, well, we are in a college town, and while most of the college students have already left, I do believe that it may provide an advantage in many ways. And I'm not saying it, but I also believe that a lot of people around here are tired of the people who always run repetitively without term limits, and that can be a little bit annoying to many people on many occasions. And throughout this election, I've gotten to know Sean well, and I like him. He and I had a discussion a couple days ago, saying that if I lose, I'll support him, and he agreed to the same thing. If he loses, he'll support me. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Good afternoon. I first want to thank the Mon County
closer.
Republican
Much
Executive
closer.
Committee.
Much closer.
Oh, sorry. These things are causing reverb.
Okay.
I'm just getting used to the hearing aids, so it's just a sign of age. I want to thank the Mon County Republican Executive Committee
Wasn't I holding that
and
close enough?
Morgantown
think
Right
you were.
who are putting this event on. It's folks like you that are putting this information out there for the public to be able to compare and contrast and make choices. So thank you very much. It's very important to the overall process. As I've indicated, or as was indicated, I'm your current county commissioner representing the Central District here in Morgantown, which covers Morgantown proper. Me and my wife live in the 7th Ward along with our 2 daughters. One daughter is a junior at Wesleyan studying biomedical engineering. She's currently a physics major. And my other's a sophomore at Morgantown High, and she's on the prestigious MHS Red and Blue Band drumline, and she's also a member of the lacrosse team. As far as my credentials to be county commissioner, I have a 28-year career at the Department of Energy. In my career at the Department of Energy, I've managed contracts over 10 times the size of the county budget here in Mon County. I've also have I'm a project management professional, which is the gold standard for project managers. I'm also certified professional contract manager. So I certainly have the credentials to do this job, and in the past 5 years, I believe I have been doing a good job in this job. And I think I've generally have changed a lot of way county government functions for its citizens and for our employees. So looking forward to this conversation, and thank you.
Thank you. Just hold on to the mic there, Sean. The first question will be for you. The pandemic has taught us that high-speed internet is the new essential utility of the 21st century. As county commissioner, what would you do to expand access to high-speed internet to all areas of our county?
Well, the first thing I do in my second term is continue doing what I am doing. When I came on the commission, I started attending the Region 6 meetings where they had done a broadband plan for the whole region, which is a 10-county area, I believe, and asking a lot of questions about, okay, so they came up with a plan for Mon County. Okay, how do we implement that? So we started that process about 4 years ago. The pandemic has been good for some things, in that it really forced a lot of attention on the need for connectivity in our county, in our country. And the first thing, being a project manager, my first thing that I wanted to do was go out and figure out an overall plan of how we were going to attack this. It's frustrating as an elected official because you get lumped in with all the politicians that like to just talk about things and talk about the money they're throwing at projects, but no real solutions as far as how to fix those problems or even address those problems. And I found out across the country that process is really lacking. So we went out and embarked on about a year-long process to develop an RFP, to have some experts come in and provide us with a detailed plan. In February, we released the findings of that plan, and right now we're in the implementation stage, which we call Phase 2. The overall plan is this document right here. It's a comprehensive strategic plan for all of Mon County, and we've already started implementing a couple steps in Phase 2. Phase 2 is last week we approved a contract with legal support where we can start doing right-of-way work as far as where we're going to put the rings. And if you want to find out about this, I can send you, the link is on our commission webpage, but you can go to the actual plan. You can look at the overall plan for the whole county, which envelops 14 different redundant rings that cover the whole county. So we've already got the legal support to start going out and looking at the right-of-ways and doing all that legwork. To do the legwork to set up a countywide broadband authority that's going to actually manage this middle mile. And then to also do a lot of the work with the ISPs, because the concept is we're going to build a countywide middle mile network, which is going to cover the whole county, and then we're going to negotiate with ISPs to connect to that. So what we're going to be doing is all ISPs will be able to provide the same level of service because they'll all be connected to the same middle mile. So what that's going to do is drive down the cost and drive up the service for all of our citizens. So we're in the process of working that through. We got an engineering contract which we'll be starting in the next 2 weeks, which will start putting together the construction packages for the expansion. And we also have a grant process going on at the same time where we have consultants that are constantly going out and looking at how we can develop the capital stack to fund this. We have ARPA dollars that are available that will cover about a third of the initial cost of the middle mile, but we're still looking for those other dollars that we can get for other areas, and we're going to do that ring by ring across the whole county.
I think our time is that our time sign? Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. Charles?
Okay, so I know I'm probably not as qualified as Sean here as far as broadband goes. However, it has a few flaws that I've noticed. And before I name those, I'm probably going to explain why Sean would be better at that, and I'd be better at the next two questions. You see, Sean, as he said, has already started something, and I've always believed it's better to finish something you've already started. I'm not trying to say you shouldn't elect me, but I will say that I don't know how far he is into it, but I'm sure he's pretty close to being done with broadband as far as expansion as it goes. But anyways, the flaws, as previously mentioned, include those who don't have devices to begin with, those who are too poor to have devices, and those who just, broadband goes for Wi-Fi, right? Not data. So I assume that, and Wi-Fi tends to be usually stationary and limited to those with passwords. Now, as I said before, I'm not the most qualified to explain broadband. It is definitely his area of expertise. Though if I do get into it, I will definitely try my best to maintain what he has started, so that way I or someone else may be able to complete it. It should it be within my capacity to make it better, I would. And so I guess should I start on me in the next question, or Sean?
The second question will be starting with you, Charles. Please explain how the commission raises and spends our tax dollars, what determinations are considered when setting levy rates, and what factors determine where funds are allocated.
Now, I've had a lot of time to think about this, and well, I've been doing some research, and it seems, well, our revenue actually comes from a number of places, but not so much taxes apparently. Like, we don't have a sales tax in the county. We do have in the state. All we have in the county as far as taxes goes is 0.52%. Is it 52 or 57? I'm sure Keith would know. That's the 0.52% of property tax, and based on a report from 2017 to 2018 fiscal year from the county commission, I read over it, and it looked like there was more coming from like other funds than just taxes, and that seems like, I was looking at it, and it seemed like an adequate amount of money compared to the expenditures. You also asked about expenditures?
Yes. What determinations are considered when setting levy rates, and what factors determine where funds are allocated?
Oh, yes. So, as far as what the factors, I'd say, well, I'm not sure what the factors are right now as far as what other people decided, but I figured if it were up to me, I'd probably do some careful calculations as to where the money comes from and how much we actually need as far as expenditures. And then and in general, Republicans are for like low spending, low taxes, so that's probably good enough with me. As far as the factors go, I think it's just basic economics, really. It's basic finances. When it comes to determining factors, I mean, everyone here pays taxes, right? Everybody has an income. I'm sure that the system, the very basic idea of the system, is not very different, I'd imagine. So yeah, I guess I'm done.
Okay. Sean?
Thank you, Charles. Well, the first thing that we do whenever we go about determining our budget and setting our levy rate for each year is a fundamental change that we've done in the past 5 years as far as looking at budgets. The budget process, 1 month into my first year, I was in charge of all budgeting for the county. Everything was turned over to me, and basically I created a fundamental change in how we do budgeting, and it caused a little bit of a stir in a lot of our constitutional offices, because they never were questioned before as far as what they were spending, where they were spending it, and how they were spending it. But initially what I did was we started looking at things from a line item perspective. What they used to do was come in and say, okay, you had $1 million last year, $1,100,000 this year would be fine, and everybody's happy. But I started showing them how that $1 million was probably about 20% or 30% over budget. And how I did this is I would give them a report. I gave them their budget input that they were required to give us. I gave them, it started off the first year with 4 years of information as far as what they spent on every single line item for the past 4 years. And I lined that up in comparison to what they spent for the last 4 years, the min, the max, the average, and then I told them where they're at halfway through the year. So when it came time to doing their budgets, it was really hard for them to come in and ask for these absorbent amounts of money when all the data was there that showed them that they weren't spending it. And the important thing is we had to gain a trust relationship with all the other constitutional officers, that we weren't taking their money and we weren't going to be able to address things that happened during the year. And I put the commission's budget through the same process, which they were probably the most surprised when I put them through that process and said, we're going to hold ourselves to the same standard we're holding every other office in this county to. So we did that same thing to us. And then what we did is we put all those dollars into a contingency fund. So Mon County is probably the only county in the state that has a fully funded contingency fund. So we started looking at where everything we're at, started stripping those dollars away from these bloated budgets. We started putting in a contingency account. So then you can start really seeing what you really need. And we haven't been bare bones in Mon County. We've been, capital improvements in the last year's budget was a 25% increase. We've been able to give raises, 3% increase raises for the past 6 years. We've been able to fully fund all insurance increases for the past 6 years. We started a high deductible plan with a medical savings account where we give our employees $2,500 into the account to pay their expenses. So we've done all those things to increase the benefits. We've also continuously looked at our capital across the county because we have aging capital outlays that were needed. So we've done that. This past year, I'm sure everybody's aware of all the issues there have been with police across the country, where it's hard to retain the sheriff's deputies. Last year at this time we were down seven deputies. This year we put a fundamental change. We installed a scale because the state just did a $10,000 increase for all deputies, for all troopers, so we had to keep up with that. So they've been begging for us to do it for 5 years, and I've been pushing to do that. But this year we put that in place. And we still did all that while still decreasing our overall budget by about a percentage. So it's just looking at the dollars and making sure where they're spent and going down to the granular level to look at all that information.
Sean, thank you. We'll stay with you for our third question. What experiences qualify you to be one of only 3 people entrusted with the management of one of the state's largest and most complex county governments?
Thank you, Ethan, for that question. I'm not doing this job for a career. A couple years ago, a good friend of mine asked me to run for county commission because the relationships with the school board and the city were non-existent. And I decided to, I'm a numbers guy, start looking at the budget. At that time, we were asked to put 4 new excess levies on the books, and we were used, the boogeyman that coal severance funds were going away was used as an excuse to put those 4 levies on the books. Well, when I started looking, I found out that 2 of those items weren't even funded through coal severance. So I really took an interest in okay, maybe I can make a difference here. I truly feel that I'm qualified to do this job, and I really feel like I've done a good job in bringing the whole commission along in the past 5 years. And Mon County is the hardest county in the state to be a commissioner because we have so many things going on. No other county has the complexity that Mon County has. We have five TIF districts, we have a STIF district, managing those, and all those are doing well. A lot of areas, there's no other area in the state that has that level of that complex type of financial accounting and financial economic development. When I became commissioner, I immediately started serving on our development authority because economic development was something I wanted to really do. We had one project. We had a couple lots left at Chaplain Hill, and we had the airport project that was stalled for about 5 years. And the county really didn't have any input into that project. So fast forward 5 years later, we have Mountaintop Beverage that's going to start production in November. To have 200-300 jobs. We have the airport project that's now finally moving. We have Westridge. We have UTC still going strong. We have the Richwood project. I mean, there's a bunch other I can't even name due to being in the early stages. So I think we're doing a lot, and we're doing a lot for all the citizens and making decisions based off of every citizen, not necessarily you know, whoever, the few people in power. That's why I like being, in 5 years, still anonymous. When I walk into Kroger's and people are talking about current affairs, and they'll talk to me about it, have no idea who I am, and I love that. I love being anonymous because that proves it's like a referee in a basketball game or a baseball game. If he's doing a good job, you don't even notice. And that's what, for the past 5 years, I think a lot of people haven't noticed, because I think I've been doing a good job, and I would want to continue doing a good job. And believe me, if we don't elect a Republican to be county commissioner in November, I can tell you that our opponent will probably use that will back there to make budget decisions and make decisions regarding the future of this county. And I mean, that's not hyperbole.
While they're switching mics, if our candidates for House or for Board of Education will come on up, have a seat here to the right. Charles, go ahead with your response to our third question.
Yes, as far as experiences goes and qualifications, well, I got more qualifications than experiences, and many of those qualifications are still in progress, such as, well, I'll tell you what, intellectually, I may have not sounded like it during this session, but I will say that it's probably because nobody can see it, but I can tell everybody right now that my high functioning autism doesn't really help a lot as far as communications. But don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean I'm not an intelligent person. Because I am very intelligent. I've always been commented on that part. Overall, as far as qualifications go, I've been a history buff, so I know what not to do, because I don't just study the most obvious points in history, like the Civil War and all that. I go down to the deepest depths, like the Toledo War, the entire Hawaiian history. I know the history of pigs. If I have questions about that, you could just ask me. And that's just the intellectual part, as far as going to history buff. And as far as knowing how to manage finances of the county, that part, my qualifications often go down to what I'm doing right now at school. In school, I'm actually going for an econ degree, and later I hope to pursue a law degree, bachelor's of science of economics, that is. And many of you may think that's mostly for finances. It also increases your many people see it as difficult because it's actually more of a thinking base, like increasing your thinking capacity to be beyond the most basic level of human understanding. So yeah, I may be young, but that doesn't mean that I'm not qualified to help this county. And overall, my religious morals have always prevented me from hurting others, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, anything. I'm like Caesar, in a way, not in the sense that I will use my power for corrupt, but as Mark Antony described, when the people have cried, Caesar hath wept. And then ask the people if that's ambition. That is, during Caesar's funeral. Overall, I just really want to help the people in this county. I'm not looking to destroy it. I see my time's up.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Sean. We appreciate you stopping by and talking to us today.
I just want to say one more thing. Yeah, I just wanted to say one more thing. If I do run, I'm not taking that $41,000 a year. I only need half that.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Charles. We appreciate you answering our questions and spending some time with us. Feel free to stay. The audience may have some questions after the stream is over. Next up, we have 2 of the 5 candidates that are running for Monongalia County Board of Education. First, we have Christy Moats from the Western Magisterial District, and then we have Jennifer Haggerty from the Central Magisterial District. I've been told that Mike Kelly, who's the incumbent serving from the Western Magisterial District, had a family emergency and wasn't able to make it. We had a response from Daniel Berry, wasn't going to be able to attend, and sent responses that he wished to be read, and we didn't offer that to any other candidate. So in the interest of fairness, we're not going to offer that to him, and no response from Brandon Myers. So these are your candidates that are present for Monongalia County Board of Education. First, Christy Moats, an introduction from you, and then Jennifer, an introduction from you, and then we'll stay with Jennifer for the first of 3 questions.
Hi, I'm Christy Moats. I have been a resident of Mon County my entire adult life. I went to Clay Patel High School. I have 3 kids. One has already graduated, the other 2 are still in the public school system. I'm a realtor with Howard Hanna. I guess my biggest qualification is that I'm a mother. Like, you know, I have kids in the system. I see what they go through. I see what we're dealing with, and I want to make changes.
Thank you. Jennifer?
My name is Jen Haggerty, and I promised I wouldn't read my name, so I won't. But I am a former Mon County teacher. I worked as a teacher, a technology integration specialist, an academic coach, and an assistant principal at Westwood Middle School and Mountain View Elementary School. 5 years ago, I left the school system to become a realtor. I work with J.S. Walker in Morgantown. I am running for Board of Education because I still have that passion for students and for education, and students are at the forefront of my concern always. I will work hard in this position to make sure that our public schools receive the support and guidance needed to achieve excellence. I'll be diligent with decisions regarding public monies to ensure spending decisions are made with the most benefit directly to the student's success, socially, emotionally, and academically, and I'll listen with intent to concerns and celebrate their successes. I feel like I'm qualified because of my background in education, because I did raise 2 children through Mon County schools. I no longer have children in the school system, but I still have a passion for what this county is and what it needs to become.
Thank you, Jennifer. We'll stay with you for our first question. What do you view as the role of an elected member of the Board of Education?
The only direct employee of the Board of Education is the superintendent. The role of the board is to set and implement policy and procedures, to be a steward of public education money, positions, curriculum, needed resources, helping facilitate a positive and healthy climate and culture, and working with the superintendent to support the schools and students to make sure success is continued. If I'm elected, I'll work hard to ensure that I evaluate all the school's issues and concerns and always make decisions that are in the best interest of all students.
Thank you, Jennifer. Christy, the same question. What do you view as the role of an elected member of the Board of Education?
My role as an elected member of the Board of Education will be to stand up for the parents and the students of this county. We need to focus on freedom, no more mandates, no CRT, no more one-sided liberal agendas in our public school systems.
Thank you, Christy. We'll stay with you for our second question. How do you suggest Monongalia County Board of Education engage parents directly in decisions that are being made about their child's education and educational environment?
I feel that we need to put policies in place that make faculty more accountable for communicating with the parents regarding issues with their children. It currently seems like there is a breakdown in communication more often than not. I think that we need to open a dialogue between faculty and parents in real time, so they know what's going on when it happens, not when the kids get home and tell them about it because nobody called them.
Thank you. Jennifer, your same question?
I would encourage all parents to get involved at the school level. Get involved in your school's local LSIC. It's the Local School Improvement Council. This is the best avenue to get directly involved in shaping the day-to-day operation of the school. To get to know your teachers, your child's teachers, to discuss concerns with the teachers or principals or both if needed. Parents can have their own accounts through Schoology and follow their child's progress and communicate with their teachers. Teachers are available through email, attend parent conferences, call the school and set up a conference when needed, if you don't get responses that you timely or that you want. Sign up for Remind. There's so many avenues for communication, and if parents stay in the know, then you can catch the issues before they become real problems. And please, as a former administrator, as a former teacher, I know, and parent, I know that when my kids come home and tell me things, I don't have the whole story. There's always 3 stories for everyone. So remember, as much as we would like to swoop in and save the day, as a parent, your child might not be telling you everything, so please hold them accountable too. I think you'll find that 95% of the concerns can be best resolved through that line of communication. If it isn't solving your problems, then reach out to the central office or the board and they'll get you someone to help. And finally, as far as being involved in Board of Education meetings, they can be attended, they can be viewed live, they're recorded and to be watched the next day. But if I'm elected, I will always make decisions in the best interest of students, and I'll keep an open ear to all employees and parents and community members and constituents as they want to talk to me. I'm here.
Okay, just hold on there, Jennifer. Before we go to our third question for these candidates, we have our candidates for Conservation District Supervisor. Will please come up and have a seat here to the right. Our third question will stay with you, Jennifer, for the first answer. Speak to the concerns of safety, both terroristic and health related, in our Monongalia County schools, and what you could do as a member of the Board of Education to improve those conditions.
I think we heard this already today, but one of the current concerns in the school is the same as it is nationally. The SRO officers are currently in all of our high schools and middle schools. Police departments across the country are experiencing across the county are experiencing a high volume of retirees or having trouble recruiting new officers. So it has become hard for them to assign an officer to a school full-time. That being said, Mon County is fortunate to have the support of community. With levy funding, the school system has come up with a creative solution and has earmarked monies to hire retired officers to work directly for the school system and not impact the state formula for personnel. All new SRO officers are sent to a national training. It's the National Association of School Resource Officers training, which gets them ready to interact with students, and which is a different training that you would get from being a police officer in the field. Mon County Schools has also purchased 8 state-of-the-art metal detectors. These will be placed next year at the 3 high schools as a pilot. Understanding the volume of students who enter the building, these devices are designed to detect dense metal only, so focus is on guns and knives and not on cell phones and keys, to keep the flow of traffic going into the building. They're also easily portable from my understanding and can be taken to other entrances, so during maybe a theater event or a sporting event, if there's a need, they can move them easily from the door to another area. If I'm elected to the board, I'll work directly with Adam Hankins to make sure that this also gets to the middle school level if it's deemed effective. Beyond this, the county still offers ALICE training, which stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, and Evacuate. Teachers, staff members get trained through professional development every year. Students go through lockdown drills twice a year. One of the major concerns right now is transitioning back to a normal school and the social emotional impact that students have acquired or has worsened if they had emotional trauma before over being out of school for the last 2 years. So I think it's important to address those social emotional needs. At this time, there are currently school nurses in all of the buildings. There are 37 counselors across the 19 school buildings, at least 1 full-time counselor in every school. Beyond that, the social workers are active in the schools, and COVID relief money has added extra therapists and social workers. I was asked the other day what happens when that money goes away. If the need is still there, then we'll have to find a way to fund it, because student health is foremost important.
Thank you, Jennifer. Christy?
All right. I first want to say that I do really love the fact that we have the resource officers at the high schools. I think that it's an invaluable asset for our kids. I feel the faculty should be comfortable investigating situations without fear of bullying or retaliation. I think that the see something, say something mentality should be encouraged and rewarded. As far as health safety goes, I will fight hard to ensure that parents decide what is best for their own children. And I would really like to see a full-time clinical psychologist on staff and available for the students. I don't feel that the guidance counselors are properly trained or equipped to successfully handle the issues that many of our kids face today. And I think that that's something that if we would get ahead of, we could probably change people's lives before it gets too late.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Jennifer. We appreciate you answering our questions and sitting with us. Again, these ladies are 2 of 5 candidates, 1 incumbent, Michael Kelly. If any of the members that are watching, any of our viewers that are watching, or any of our guests here in the audience are confused, because the election of the Board of Education can get a little confusing. There are 3 seats that will be filled with not more than 2 members seated on the board from any one magisterial district. So with Mike Kelly as an incumbent running from the Western District, be mindful of the math there on election night when you're watching returns, and because your top 3 vote getters aren't always the winners. So I'm sure both of these candidates have that down pat. So if anyone has any questions about how that math will turn out, Jennifer, Christy, I'll let you guys get the chalkboard out and show them the math. So
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Next up we have Andrew Price and Mark Myers. They are in the nonpartisan race for Conservation District Supervisor. We'll all get to learn something from them, I'm sure. Unless you're engaged in agriculture, you may not know what these gentlemen are running to do. So we'll start with an introduction from Mark, then we'll go to an introduction from Andrew, then we'll stay with Andrew for the first question and just alternate back and forth. So Mark, you're up first.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank everyone for coming. My name's Mark Myers. I was born and raised in Monongalia County. I've lived here almost all my life, left for a couple years and worked away, but boomerang right back here. My wife Kelly sits back here. She's a teacher at University High. We have 4 adult children and 2 grandchildren that are in the school system. I've retired to do the Conservation District Supervisor full-time. I sit on the Board of Directors for the state. I've worked with the Legislative Committee and the Education Committee in drafting new legislation. We got Bill 264 passed this year. If you guys get the opportunity to look it up, it's Senate Bill 264, and it defines the responsibilities of a district supervisor.
Thank you. Andrew?
Good afternoon. Andrew Price. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. Nice sunny day to be inside, but nice and cool in here. Myself and my family have been in this county since about 1820. Since then, we've been farmers the full time. I grew up here, stayed here, except for when I've been in the Army for 31 years and did a couple of vacations in Iraq, Afghanistan, but and then went on to be educated in WU in agricultural education. I've tried to stay connected to the farm and have managed that, even though I've worked for HealthNet, flew helicopters in HealthNet for quite a bit, and Ag area back over in New Martinsville, and retired from that in 2018, and retired from the Army in 2010, and now I'm a full-time cow-calf operator. We have a 640-acre farm on the western end of the county. 400 of that is timber, so we have our hands in pretty much both sides of that, and we also manage our hunting for that. We're always open to tourism and whatnot. So we always encourage people to enjoy our farm as much as we do, as long as they respect that farm. So welcome. You're all welcome to come on out. So appreciate it. So thanks for having us. I'm an associate supervisor with the Conservation District right now. It really wouldn't change if I become elected, then I'll become a full supervisor, but I would still stay connected with it. current member of the County Farm Bureau as a board of directors. So I stay connected through politics and farming throughout here. And we try to improve the aspects of farming and try to offer the area farmers and encourage young people to get involved through the actions of this conservation district. So if any of you want to take on the job of farming, we are here to help you do that. Thank you.
Andrew, Mark, I think in the interest of, we've went a little over time. We're 15 minutes past our 5. And I think in the interest of getting everyone back out in the sunny weather, we'll combine our first 2 questions. Is that okay with you, gentlemen?
Yeah.
And then again, we'll stick with that 3rd question as a standalone. So we'll start with Andrew. Andrew, what does the Conservation District Supervisor do, and how are most county residents impacted by the actions of the Conservation District Supervisor?
Well, that's fairly easy. I mean, I would venture to say that if I asked everybody in here, did you have a meal today? Did you look out? Was the grass green? Was the water in the stream relatively clear in most of the county, except if you have rain that day and a little bit muddy that way? Those are the things that we do and support. The conservation supervisors, we encourage young people to get involved with farmers. We encourage practicing farmers to stay involved with farmers, and we try to support them financially with cost share activities. We build flood control. We help build flood control dams. Deckers Creek's one of them, and Mannington's has several of them, and those help the flood control. But those also are sometimes linked to the PSDs to provide water impoundments so you get clean drinking water. We work with farmers to improve the pollinators. We help encourage them to go out here and provide food for the farmers markets. And we try to get young people. Getting started in farming is an incredibly expensive business. It's difficult to get land. It's difficult to pay for land. It's difficult to pay for equipment. But we offer cost shares through the Monongalia Conservation Supervisor district. And we operate in this district. We operate in Preston, Monongalia, and Marion County. So we cover a lot of the very good land in the state of West Virginia as far as farming goes. So what we do is try to help bring good, safe food to you. We hopefully provide to keep the soil on the hillside where it belongs, not in the streams. And we encourage tourism in that way. We don't directly take care of clean water, but we do keep the dirt out of the water as much as possible. We're not pollution control necessarily, but we do all these things in the background, and we administer state and federal funds to do that, to utilize to that, and work directly with the farmers then. So we do work with young folks in the elementary schools and the high schools to try to bring them into farming and find an avenue that they can go out and do that, whether that's in town with a beehive and a garden that they can take that and sell it to farmers market, or that's out in my area where you got 20 or 30 head of cattle or more head of cattle. But we do all these things in a relatively quiet manner. So hopefully we're using your money properly.
Mm-hmm. Mark, although the questions that we did combine can be objective, you can take the subjective if you want to have a subjective answer. Andrew got to cover the facts. If you have some.
Well, a lot of people do understand what we do, and there's a large amount of things other than farming we do. The thing is, Andy and I both come from a farming background. I live on a family farm that's been a family farm since 1890. My wife and I, we farm over 700 acres, and we have an active beef and an active forage, which is grass operation. One of the things that we've worked on in my tenure as a district supervisor, when I was chairman, we got the Deckers 1 rehab project started on Ruby Farm up on the Kingwood Pike. And that project started out to be a $4 million project, went to 6, then 7. By the time we got it bid, it was at over 10 million. When halfway through we hit the 12 million mark, we finished it at over $14 million. And before it's over, we're going to be up to 16 million. It was fortunate that we got to build it on state property, because that saved us millions of dollars in land acquisition. But you have to, be, as a district supervisor, go out somewhere and secure this funding and find this funding to use for these things. Fortunately for us, with past things that I'd worked with Richard Mine and in Mannington with the NRCS, I was able to use relationships with those organizations to help secure that $14 million. One of the things that people don't understand is now when we built that, you're building it on a wetland or a stream. So now you have to do mediation. And our mediation up there is gonna be, we're gonna plant 5,000 trees. And we have to plant those and put tree guards on them. That 5,000 trees has to be planted somewhere. Well, that would have come out of our budget and been over $150,000. I went to the university and talked to the forestry department, and they're gonna have the forestry students do that and do our monitoring over 5 years. It's so important as a supervisor to work with other organizations, be it Farm Service Agency, the NRCS, the Forestry Department, or Farm Bureau or the Cattlemen's Association. Andy's a Farm Bureau member, I'm a Farm Bureau member, I'm a Cattlemen's Association member, but I'm also a member of many watersheds in our area. And it's so important for us to protect and keep our water clean. We're the birthplace of rivers. The Mississippi starts here.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Our second question, after we combine the first two, our second question will be our final question for both you and Andrew. And it is, what experience qualifies you to serve as the Conservation District Supervisor?
The experience is I've done the job for almost 14 years. It's been a passion of mine. I worked on the Mannington project with Consolidation Coal to get the reverse osmosis plant built down there. That plant, which was tough because the EPA and Consol fought the whole time. We brought them to a round table, got them to settle down, got them to implement and build that plant. That plant takes 26 miles of water line out of 6 mines, including the western end of Mon County, sends it through a reverse osmosis plant, which is a plant that cleans it, distills it, you could drink the water, and it does it at 3,500 gallons a minute. But we had 7 control dams, 7 dams in Preston County that are flood control dams of water. We had, or 6 in Preston and 7 in Marion County. We dedicated one of those dams where Consol could take the water out and put the old water back in. There's just so many things that we do, and right now, I just got involved with a project in January, and it has to do with Deckers. It was started with the Friends of Deckers, but it went to the Friends of Cheat. And we're going to, in the Albright area, to TNT Mine, we're going to partner with the federal government again, and we're going to do a point source cleanup where there's mine acid runoff coming out of the old TNT mine. And I think Andy's qualified. Andy's very qualified. In January, I was given the opportunity to go back to the National as a delegate. I recommended Andy go so Andy could learn and Andy could meet new people and come on. I feel that I'm the best candidate, but I'm trying to steer Andy and get him into offices and get him to meet people and get him to make these connections so that when I step down in a few years, he can take over.
Thank you. Andrew?
Well, I'm relatively new. I mean, I've just been an associate with Conservation Supervisors for about a year. I've been farming for all my life, and I've been trained through the ag school here a little bit. I mean, I don't have possibly the direct experience that Mark has, but I don't think you can go wrong with either one of us. I mean, we both have a level of experience and a level of commitment to environmental aspects and farming at large in this county and in the state as far as that goes, because this area really represents not just Monongalia County, but we take in Greene, Fayette, Preston, Marion, Wetzel, and all those we directly or indirectly responsible for. The water aspects encumber everything in here. Everything that Sean wants to do with the tourism in here, with the bike tourism and all of that is directly or indirectly related to farmers and the green space that we protect and hold as what we were given by God, for lack of a better word. I mean, we are responsible for that, and in order to help facilitate that, Mark and I are participating in the various aspects, whether it's watershed groups, whether it's the Monongalia Conservation District or Cattlemen's or Farm Bureau. But we feel a direct responsibility to our families and to you as the voters to carry on that. I think you would do well with either one of us in there. I'm learning on the job, as did Mark when he first got there. So, you know, vote your conscience and get to the polls. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew, Mark, both, thank you for joining us. Thank you for educating us a little bit.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the moderated portion of our forum. Go ahead and give these gentlemen a round of applause for coming. Kyle's going to go ahead and turn off our stream. Ladies and gentlemen who watch via Facebook Live, thank you for joining us. We'd like for you to share and comment on this post if you see it in the future. And thank you for participating. I'll close there. If any